Hey, everybody. Samson Folk here for another film breakdown. This one concerning the Raptors' ninth overall pick from this season, Collin Murray-Boyles. Obviously, if you're familiar with my work, you know that I did a big film review on him prior to the draft. I did a big one after Summer League, and I have been fascinated with Collin Murray-Boyles' game. I enjoy it a lot. I think he's fantastic. I advocated for the Raptors to pick him. This is the fourth player in 3 years that they've picked that I have advocated for. I don't know what's happening there, but my ass is on the line, man. The draft picks have to work out good. Otherwise, they're gonna take me off the payroll. Collin Murray-Boyles, just to set the stage, I think he's been super fun to start the preseason. He obviously has that elbow contusion that he's getting looked at. He didn't play in the game against the Wizards, but he's been extremely fun. And he's fun because he's a dominant defensive presence. He's fun because he plays and gives effort in any play type, offensive or defensive. And because I think he has a really unique toolkit for an offensive player. One that might be able to see him play the three, but more than likely, we're going to see him as a four for a very long time, at least functionally. The jumper is coming along. I have a fun video for that. We are looking at a guy who can drive the basketball, was one of the best drivers in the NCAA, was one of the best one-man shows in the NCAA with South Carolina. That team was not very good. They asked him to do a lot of stuff, and his range on both sides of the floor was immaculate. Make sure to like the video, comment, subscribe, hype, all that great stuff. It helps out the channel. If you want a film breakdown on Brandon Ingram, I just did one. If you want any recaps on the latest games that have happened, S has you covered. And we have a bunch of podcasts coming through where we discuss things thoughtfully. You want to get into the film? Let's get into the film. Collin Murray-Boyles, wonderful player. If you want the numbers, he's averaging roughly like 7 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. Although that doesn't really convey everything that he's about. He is a wrecking ball on both sides of the floor. Let's get into the film and see exactly why. So obviously what makes Collin Murray-Boyles special, let's call him CMB for short. What makes CMB special is his ability to make plays that don't necessarily end up on the box score, his ability to disrupt things and to be a chaos agent in basically every facet of the game. And you can see that on screen here, like attacking Domantas Sabonis's dribble because he's pressuring the inbounds. It's part of the Raptors' scheme. Tagging up, he's going to play a huge role in that. Getting to loose balls, making extra plays, floating, and using his activity not only to score, but to play make as well. There's a lot of potential for him as a player to stuff the stat sheet based off of just this kind of stuff. When we look at his offensive tape, we'll see kind of that multi-purpose aspect. But as far as the defensive stuff, whether he's getting scored on or getting stops, you can see that in the process, he's doing great things. And so we can just see, like, sticking with DeMar DeRozan, DeMar, who is not the quickest guard, and especially at his age, but CMB, if anybody's going to try and create with strength against him, they're just going to get swallowed up. It's what RJ Barrett talked about when he said you just have to try and get away from him. RJ also alluded to Scotty and CMB going at each other repeatedly in practices, and that just being a thing where CMB tries to make players' lives hell. When I asked CMB about it, he said there's nothing they can do about it. And he had a big smile on his face while he was telling me. He was overjoyed to let me know that he is physically overwhelming NBA players at his young age and at his very early status in the league. And you can see, like, he'll chase him off a pin down, he'll chase DeMar off a pin down, go meet him, take away the legs, make sure that there's nowhere to go, and just makes him go up from there. And he has like quality contests here too. And we see he's battling with Domantas Sabonis. This ends up as a bucket, right? And for audio listeners, he pops out on the other side of a pick and roll after wrestling with Sabonis. Dennis Schroeder tries to take the lane. CMB immediately teleports into his space, stays square the exact way he needs to, makes a play on the ball, and almost creates a turnover. We're going to see that quite a bit during all of these film clips, is that he is so dangerously close to creating about like four more turnovers over the course of these games. It's just missing by a hair. And when he's not a young man anymore, when he's like 24 years old, I suspect that all these plays will be like big defensive playmaking the same way it was in college. But the ball bounces loose to Sabonis, who's able to finish, and CMB almost recovers over for the block. This is timing. These are rotations. This is all this kind of stuff. If we can switch back to a summer league clip quick, you can just see the way he's able to step out on the perimeter, the way he's able to blow up actions. This is something he's able to do to overwhelm guys who aren't that athletic, but it's also something we're seeing he can immediately do at the NBA level as well. You can watch this rotation here. It's just he's very impressive covering ground. He gets his hands on everything, and the playmaking we see at the summer league level also shows up nonstop at the NBA level. This too, popping out, goes in for the dig, just misses on it. Jamal Shed is complaining for some reason. CMB is also complaining here too, acting like something nefarious happened in this exchange. I don't know why. I think maybe they're just in disbelief that he didn't come loose with the ball. It leads to an offensive rebound. And like, hey, that's not fun for anybody to get scored on. But you love the intent. He's in the mixer, always in the mixer. This one here, again, like Jokic is just trying to operate out of like a baseline package, like an empty corner handoff with his guy. And CMB wrestles with Jokic and gets his hand on the ball, and it doesn't quite end up loose. And Jokic, in the chaos of it, ends up getting to turn the ball downhill and create a shot. This kind of stuff, I don't blame him for. Like, you're wrestling with a guy like Jokic, you have to try and create plays and try and give him as few possessions as possible. And you can see his grit, his length, and his tenacity is tantalizingly close to affecting numerous plays here. And this play, I just wanted to show after Jokic scores that tagging up, just to give an example of what this is, taking up for in the NBA is you'll see he'll go find the back, right? Of number 22. Is that Zeke Naji? I don't know who it is. I think it's Zeke Naji. He goes and finds the back of him. That's what tagging up is. It's a scheme that some NBA teams, there's maybe 5 or 6 that used it last year. It's a scheme they use to press on the back of their closest defender so that you can apply that pressure for long rebounds and be the first to it, and so that everybody is matching up for a check in transition. It's also a good way if your guy actually gets the rebound in front of you, you can pressure the ball immediately and disrupt plays in the backcourt. It's achieving all 3 of these things. And for a guy like CMB, who is truly excellent at pressuring the ball in the backcourt, who is a very strong offensive rebounder, and a guy who can chase down loose balls, tagging up is basically like the dream scenario for him to find his way to impact without needing any plays called for him. And we saw it in Summer League that he was able to create, positive change by being a tag up guy. And he's obviously very disruptive in the backcourt defensively. And that's just a short clip to show you the example of tagging up. Somebody asked me to show an example of tagging up earlier. This one too, this is something great that he provides defensively. He is the guy who helps to maintain pressure or to save the guards from allowing too many straight line drives. And what I mean by that is Jamal Shed is going to get clipped on a moving screen from Nikola Jokic, which, hey, listen, that happens sometimes. And if CMB isn't there to absorb the drive, and he has great feet so he can absorb the drive and he can move the ball on, and guys won't try to attack him because he's such a strong defender, then we're looking at a guy who, he can really help out your guards who have to press up. And also, as this play continues on, right, he checks up with Jokic, goes and meets him, provides that contact. Jokic tests him out by bumping into him, is not able to bash him, is not able to have his way in that or as easily. I mean, there's a size difference and strength difference there to be sure, but CMB meets the bounce well. He also pops out on Brown here, makes him take 3 negative dribbles, returns back to Jokic. And this one, I'm not going to blame CMB on. You're one-on-one against Jokic. He's going to turn on you. Mamu, this is Peyton Watson in the corner. You're late, man. You're very, very late. This is Nikola Jokic one-on-one against Collin Murray-Boyles. You want the ball leaving his hands to Peyton Watson. In fact, with an empty side like that, a lot of the danger with Nikola Jokic is that you can't get him to make the pass you want. But if Sandro meets him and plays the halfway position between he and Peyton Watson, you can make it so that the pass baseline cutting for Watson isn't there, and you can make Jokic pick up the basketball, and you can funnel it to Peyton Watson for 3, which is a far, and I mean far more viable outcome for the Raptors defense than just allowing Jokic to kind of step in and force CMB to foul. I like that possession a lot. We can just run it back. This is a good possession from CMB. Slows down what could have been a pseudo transition play, made the offense reset, absorbed the bump from Jokic, made him move it on, and then also made Brown take two, almost three negative dribbles, holds his own, but unfortunately the floor was not balanced and Jokic was able to take advantage of it. This is great defense. This is a wonderful defense. I'm really happy with what I'm seeing from CMB right here. And this one too, because CMB was guarding DeRozan, he's in the corner, right? We can see that much. And we're going to see where CMB, his loyalties lie, because the roller, a lot of times you are going to want to tag. And since it's Jamal Shed here, Jamal Shed is guarding the roller. You don't want that at all. This is typically where I think CMB is coming to scram switch him out, but Shed did not scram switch. I don't know if you'd rather have CMB drop onto the big and have Shed on DeRozan because that's a mismatch regardless. But it is late clock. I think CMB was coming in here to scram switch Shed out of it. Shed did not take it, which meant that CMB was deeper than he's meant to be, and he has to recover out to DeRozan, who hits a spot up three. I will say, though, I like when defenders have a bias towards the paint and a bias towards the bigs. And CMB is still making really quick decisions here. He still recovers out fine enough. It's just a nice shot from DeRozan. But I think what he was trying to do there is scram switch Shed out of what probably would have been a lot of trouble for him in the post. And it was just a great read from Levine, reading the motion and the defense. This one, too, is just, I mean, he gets out there and blocks Monk's 3-point shot, runs out, wide receiver. Ingram hits him on the hit ahead, big and one dunk. I love that for CMB. Huge fan of it. And this one, too, I actually really like CMB's defense here. I didn't like how overzealous RJ Barrett was in help. So what's going to happen is we're going to see Ingram gets a little bit caught on the screen, and they're just going to switch that, a very soft switch where CMB absorbs the drive from Monk, and Barrett is, my God, Barrett is really pinching in there where he probably doesn't need to be whatsoever, right? Because Ingram is clouding that right-handed drive. Monk, while he's a pretty strong driver, CMB is a really tough guy to drive the ball on, and RJ pinches in a little bit too close and allows the pass out to DeMar. It's not that he allowed an open three or anything. It's just that he was too high, which meant that he couldn't actually take away the angle for this drive. And you can see a nice subtle job by Sabonis to just box Ingram out of the paint there so that DeRozan has a one-on-one to carve out space in the paint for a layup. But I do like CMB's defense there. I just think I wish that Barrett took a little bit better angle. And like, maybe that angle would have been good if CMB had jumped Monk, and maybe he was expecting that too because he sees that a lot in practice. But it's tough to see. This one too, I thought was interesting. I might have had to cut the clip a little bit early. Oh wait, I zoomed it up because with this clips and all this kind of stuff, you have to be conscientious of copyright claims from NBA teams or broadcasters. Well, not NBA teams, just broadcasters. And so the Kings, Doug Crusty starts yelling at, I can't even remember who goes up for the screen. He starts yelling at him, number 32, to go up for the screen. And so CMB runs up with him there. And as you can see, like Grady, CMB is having a hard time trying to time this up with Grady because Grady is providing a lot of pressure here. It's not super good pressure, and he's kind of jumping and chasing and getting after him. And CMB is running around with the screener, like, okay, what's my part in this play? Where do we go? And Grady, because the screen is slipped, is like, okay, what am I doing here? We were gonna switch. I was gonna climb. What's happening? And CMB and Grady kind of disconnect on this, where it's probably not aggressive enough for a blitz because CMB should have taken it and jumped him if Grady was going to be leaping, right? Killed the dribble. But CMB gets soft, and that means you get the driving angle there. The ball goes out to the corner, and then it's a bucket. This one is like a lot of times, plays like these, the ball handler really has to take the initiative to make the decision easy for the big operating in these situations. But I do think that, like, listen, it's just a great hesitation from Devin Carter. He got the edge. He made sure he got the rotation he wanted, found a triple for his team. This one, too, he goes and he's battling with Sabonis above the break. They also know, like, hey, Sabonis, not a great shooter. CMB can have a big bias towards taking away the drive. He helps out Grady when Grady's climbing. And Bob's your uncle, Becky's your aunt. Go get the rebound. put us in a good position. I love this, man. I really like the defense he's able to provide. And, it's really fun watching a guy like this. We can actually let's go back to his summer league tape just to kind of finish off. But you can see, I'll just keep talking instead of breaking it down. But he's obviously he's very good at predicting what offensive players are going to try to do. His pressure is extremely effective. His hands, his nickname, I think coined by and the art was done by Aiden, the Magneto art. Magneto, I think, is a great nickname for him. Fantastic. But because his hands are magnets, right? Like the ball finds him repeatedly. You can just see these are like highlights in some sense, and they're also just like, defense in another sense. He is stepping into the lane and causing problems all the time. His hands are getting everywhere. And while I do see early on, we're looking at a guy in these preseason games who's going to get called for a few more fouls than maybe we'd like, and fouls that he probably won't get called for over the course of his whole career. I'll say this much, man. Uh, when we're looking at the Oklahoma City Thunder, and if you have a good reputation as a good defense, when it comes down to it, playoff basketball, CMB might be one of those guys who he gets the liberty of manhandling other dudes. And he might really get away with a lot of stuff. And he might be able to set an unbelievable tone in terms of his physicality. Because I really don't think a lot of NBA players can meet him where he's at physically. And especially by the time he's like 24, 25, he might be just entirely too much to handle. It might be like way, way too much to handle. And this one here, I'm just going to take some time to pat myself on the back for a job well done of scouting. When I said I watched a lot of CMB and I scouted him, I was not lying. This is from draft night when we were going over some of his stuff. And when I was talking about like the specifics of where he likes to shoot the ball, I'm just going to play this so everyone can listen, and then we'll get into the offensive stuff. And CMB he can help himself a lot by being ready to shoot from three. And also, in particular, I wonder if they might pop him to his right, and so that he can be moving to his right when he gets into his shot, because that actually helps him a lot. And also means if he gets an aggressive closeout, he can turn it back left against a moving defense. So that's some of the more important stuff. Okay, so obviously we know that CMB can fit a lot of different roles defensively. Everyone is reflexively saying that he can guard 1 through 5. He's probably a 2 through 4 guy, and he's exceptional at blitzing point guards and kind of showing at the level and disrupting them. And he can definitely hang in for a spot of time against some of the bigs in the NBA. I mean, we saw him guard Sabonis and Jokic. As far as guys who will dominate you with physicality, there's few better, if any. Those might be like two of the top three, honestly. And CMB did pretty well, but he's definitely losing that battle. Offensively, he's a little bit more limited because he is just so much fun on defense. And a lot of it revolves around like, how will the jumper come along? Because the jumper would mean he can play maybe one extra position on the floor offensively. I understand. I think he generally has elite touch, and elite touch doesn't always translate to great jump shooting. It more so manifests at the rim, and he's a very strong finisher at the rim. I think it's been good at the NBA level so far. It was good at Summer League too. And he's not bad from the free throw line. I have a lot of optimism for him to be able to be at least passable when it comes to being a 3-point shooter. But as a driver, I think he's extremely talented when it comes to making progressive reads as a playmaker, when it comes to driving the basketball, when it comes to setting screens or playing out of delay action. I find CMB to be a very talented offensive player and a guy who can stick in a lot of lineups if you let him occupy that role. Obviously, it's going to be different for the Raptors if they ask him to exist outside of that. He is a guy who is immediately capable of driving bigs. And when I say drive bigs, that means if he has a big man out on him, he can drive that big to the rim. He can create defensive rotation. He can score or play make out of it. And that's immediately apparent, I think, in the NBA, especially on the bigger court. I mean, oh my days. When he was at South Carolina, he was asked to create in some of the smallest windows of space, some of the tightest ass Harry Potter in the broom closet under the stairs type space. And this guy was creating some wizard type finishes out of it. He was extremely impressive finishing the basketball, and his handle is not incredible for a 6'6" player, but it's very functional for a guy who plays as a power forward. And he really knows how to use his body. And he's also aggressive, and he likes to try things out. Some of the finishes we'll see on tape here are they're just really a pleasure to watch. He's controlled, he has a soft touch, he uses his weight really well, he uses his length really well. He is truly a joy to watch when he gets to move downhill and watch him make decisions with it. The first play that we're going to see here, and just to highlight this, a lot of players wouldn't reverse pivot here, but he does. And I love the reverse pivot. And the reverse pivot is what allows him to beat his man and get to the baseline, force the rotation of Keegan Murray, and create a wide open three for Brandon Ingram. This play is not going to be available to him all the time as an NBA player, but this play will certainly be available to him some of the time. And honestly, the Raptors, this was not the intended play. This was not the design. This is just CMB realizing that the floor is shaped well for him to attack it, using the bounce and finding a shot that all coaches dream of. Brandon Ingram, wide open corner three, bang. That's easy stuff. This too, this this one's not a great barometer because not only is it Nikola Jokic, but it's Nikola Jokic in the preseason, and he he is not defending Collin Murray-Boyles as if he's able to do anything with the dribble. And so Boyles just he doesn't even necessarily rip through like aggressively. He just simply walks the ball forward at a start and then bursts past Jokic with hesitation. Jokic can definitely be more dialed in than this, and CMB will have to beat much better defenders and more locked in defenders than this. But I just like seeing him use the drive. This one I love. The Raptors, this is Chucky Hepburn rejecting a screen. The Raptors are probably going to be like a top 5 team in the NBA when it comes to rejecting screens, just because they have a lot of wings and they have a few guards who don't shoot that well, and they overload. Look at this. Great little footwork. Right-handed finish for audio listeners. Xavier Tillman closes out. It's not a hard closeout either. It's a short closeout. He barely, like, he does not break the 3-point line. He's about a foot short of it, and he already starts backtracking. But Collin Murray-Boyles has good burst, very great composure as a driver, uses his body, gets the ball to the outside of it, and uses his right hand to kiss it off the glass. All this from a guy who's drawing a short closeout. When I say short closeout, I'm talking about Xavier Tillman right here. A long closeout looks a lot different. A long closeout, I mean, you're going north of the 3-point line. There might be teams in the NBA this year who are going to, like, they might not even break the free throw line for Collin Murray-Boyles. There's potential for that, but this is like this type of closeout, and for CMB to beat it, this is not dependent really on him being a great 3-point shooter. This is a closeout he might see pretty often this season, and he's been aggressive getting the 3-point shot up. Good for him in doing so. And I mean, hell yeah, he has great composure as a driver. This one too, I really like this pass from Jamal Shed, and Jamal deserves credit for it. Just seeing where Valanciunas is hanging out, the ball goes over top, and attacks going over his, oh my days. For audio listeners, I should be a little bit more descriptive, but CMB catching out of the corner, and it's like Jonas Valanciunas is playing him as if he's a left-handed player, right? And he's angling him to the baseline, use the baseline as another defender. As we saw with the play against Xavier Tillman, that throw-ahead dribble going to his right, CMB is more than comfortable doing that, and he takes a very wide angle to the basket, but uses that two-step gather to launch himself at the rim, just hold and really flip it inside hand lay with his left hand off the glass. Very talented finish there. He's a great finisher. I expect this to show up at the NBA level when the regular season starts. I'm really excited for it. This play as well, this is a pinch post action, basically which you have a post up on an empty side and the 4 other players are farther to the other side of you. And lots of teams run pinch post for, great big men or all-stars who like to work on the block. The Raptors used to run a lot of pinch posts for Pascal to see where doubles would come from. They run it for Scottie on occasion. They even used to run it for Thaddeus Young, who I know is in hot water with Raptors fans for his commentary about the structure of the team at one time or another. And so CMB is being guarded by old friend Chris Boucher, not a guy who's known for his strength, let's say, a guy who's known for his length, his willingness to get anywhere and everywhere on the floor, and he scored the ball. I mean, Chris Boucher had 19 points in short order against the Raptors. He might have taken 10 shots to do it, but CMB is a strength creator, and Boucher does not have the ability to do it. So they run a pinch post action, and they may have been getting ready, like Ochai cuts through, and they might have been looking for a flare or something between Jonathan Mobo and Grady. But what they see happen is that CMB just takes the ball, and God, does he move Chris Boucher, man. Like, he launches him, gets to his spot, and hits the baby hook. That's the touch, man. It's going to show up repeatedly in his career. This one too is recognizing, this is like, first of all, it's not an incredible screen, but he sees that a blitz is coming, so he gets out of there so he can be an outlet and then catch and locate Grady for a three. This is not incredible basketball, but this is just good, solid basketball decision making as a player off ball. How do I use myself? How do I help my player who's getting blitzed? I pop out, I slip out to the side of the floor where there's a passing angle, and I make something happen. This too, just making, and I've talked about this before with Jacoby's footwork. I keep seeing it, but for a right-handed player, usually what you'll see is guys will anchor their left foot first, swing their right foot in, and once that plants, they'll start going up. Jacoby is a very unique guy in that I've seen it probably 5 times in the preseason. As a right-handed shooter, he anchors his right foot first, brings his left foot in, and then shoots from there. He's obviously not shot the ball well in the preseason, and the 4-point play he just had against the Washington Wizards, he was not anchoring his foot like this, but just like a unique biomechanical thing that's happening. A fine pass over the flare from CMB to sum up the play. I he'll make lots of plays where he makes good reads, I'm sure of it. I just really like that. This one, I mean, hey, taking the ball deep in transition until you get the rotation you want, finding Grady for three, bang, easy peasy, piece of cake basketball, right? This one too. This one too I like just because he's strong and guys are gonna bounce off of him. This is functionally not a lot different than the play that the Raptors ran for Brandon Ingram to get his basket out of the baseline out of bounds play. It's just they're running it a little bit differently. Just toss it to CMB, let him set a screen and a handoff into the corner. Emmanuel quickly hits his first three of preseason. No, he hit one against Denver. Never mind. But anyway, Denver shooter goes flying off of CMB. And there's probably a bit of acting in that regard. But I liked it, man. I liked it. This play as well is not great from CMB or anything like that, but he's part of it, and I just liked the design. Basically, the Raptors are using a unique entry into a Spain action, and they do run a lot of Spain. They like Spain. This is using CMB to get Grady a little bit of an edge so that they overload and so that they can kind of sneakily get into their Spain pick and roll set. And we see Grady really lands the back screen there, gives Jamal a wide open seam to the rim. He's able to take it in and score it. This one is just tracking with your offensive player, supporting him on the offensive glass. Collin Murray-Boyles, we should see him do a pretty good job of rebounding the ball on the offensive side. And we can just kind of talk about what he does on offense as we run some of the Summer League tape. Another offensive rebound goes up. He occupies a lot of space under the rim. He's very impressive to me. And he's very composed is also another aspect of his game. He is a guy who manages to play extremely fast, a guy who manages to play extremely helter-skelter and to be incredibly chaotic and disruptive, and still manages a lot of the time to seem like he's going at his own speed. It's incredibly impressive to me and something that I really appreciate about his game. It shows up in his finishing, it shows up in his passing, and it shows up in how he attacks different seams that are available to him as a driver. The big thing that will change, really what CMB gets to do as a player is one, his three-point shooting, because that's going to generate if it's going well, that's going to generate so many more opportunities for him to drive. And he's a fantastic driver. And the more you get to do that, wonderful. There's a quote from Coach Darko at one point who said, if you have to close out on Scotty Barnes, may God help you. Listen, man, uh, Scotty has not had access to a lot of driving lanes. If he shoots the ball well this year, he will, and we'll see how valuable that is. CMB, all that stuff still applies. And CMB probably has more craft as a driver, but he's smaller than Scotty as well. He high points the ball as a rebounder. He's very impressive in that regard. He was used way more often as a screener at Summer League than what we've been seeing when it comes to preseason. He can plant screens. He's a talented roller. His timing is good. His pacing is good. I really like this guy. Now, the offensive stuff hasn't really shown up a ton yet. And he's a guy who's drafted as a defense first prospect. He's a guy who's drafted just this year. He's a young player. He'll have lots of time to figure this kind of stuff out. But the potential, I think, is certainly there. It's something to get excited about, and it's something I'm really looking forward to. Um, I did really like Grady when the Raptors drafted Grady. I did like Jonathan Mobo, and but as a second round flyer, it's harder. And Grady was also a guy who fell, and I didn't expect him to end up on the Raptors. CMB, at least I don't know about like NBA Twitter consensus. I don't know about all that. But CMB, as far as like the big people who are doing draft work consensus, was not a given to the Raptors at 9, and most people thought he'd go later. I loved his game. I said I thought he was a top 5 player in the draft, and I didn't expect the Raptors to take him, but they did. And I was obviously very ecstatic when they did. The reaction is online. We had fun with it, and I can't wait to see him play. He's been like, I do like Grady, yes. I was saying that I thought the Raptors were going to grab either Mobo or Shamshay in the second round. And then they grabbed both because they bought a pick. And they also, Jamal Shed came in there too. But CMB, as far as guys I've done draft work on, is by some measure my favorite player that's landed on the Raptors. He is so much fun. And I think he has so much potential to be one of the best players out of his draft class. I think he has so much potential to not just be like a really strong NBA player, but a guy who could potentially make all-star games. He's a guy I'm excited to get excited about. I hope his elbow is cool. I hope everything's working out there. I've had an absolute blast watching him so far. He is basically everything I expected him to be. There's not a part of his game that is surprising me yet. He is just transplanted from South Carolina to the Toronto Raptors. He's managing to provide impact in the ways I would have expected. He's aggressive taking threes, even if he's not effective. And I expect him to develop at a really strong pace. And he does all the types of things that fans love seeing. He plays very well within the Raptors scheme. He's going to be part of the rotation this year, and maybe even a big one as the season progresses, because physicality is usually the one thing. A lot of young players come into the league very skilled, but the physicality is where they can't make it happen just yet. CMB, he is both skilled and extremely physical. His route to, not only just like having, a piece of the rotation, but maybe a meaningful piece that sees him on, first team all rookie, that puts him in really fun conversations. I think all that stuff is in play. Huge fan of his game. If you like the film breakdown, make sure to like, hype, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Lots of work coming from Raptors Republic. We hope to be your favorite place for Raptors coverage this upcoming season. We'll have lots from myself and Trey, from myself and Lewis, from S. There'll be so much here. So if you want to show appreciation, like the video, hype the video, all that good stuff. Thank you for tuning in with me. My name is Samson Folk. It's another film breakdown. Collin Murray-Boyles, number 9 overall, star for the Toronto Raptors. Whether you got into this in the morning or at night, have a blessed day and goodbye.